And I wandered around in there, and I found a guy who was the chief pilot, and I walked in. I looked like a Raven. I told him I was Raven 11. I had just gotten picked up on Monday by Air America guy. I said, I want to know who this guy is. I want to thank him and buy him a bottle. He said, I can't tell you. And he surprised me. And I hadn't thought about it. It makes sense that they don't just give out a lot of information, but I was kind of ticked off. I said, you won't tell me what this guy's name is? But anyway, I was on my way back up country, and I told our intel guy up there who ordered all the booze, I said, next time you put in a booze run, order me a bottle, drop it off at Air America for that helicopter driver. I don't know whether it ever happened. I should have followed up. I didn't. I went on vacation. And basically, I really did completely forget about it. I was out for 6 weeks with my arm, and when I came back up there, got checked out on the airplane again, and I wasn't quite as gung-ho. And so when my 6 months up there was over, I went on back home.
They had sighted the Strela missile in our neighborhood. The Strela missile was a handheld, heat-seeking missile not much bigger than a bazooka, which any troop in the field could carry and be trained for in about 5 minutes. It would go so fast that if you looked down and saw it coming and said, oh shit, then you died. But I talked to some of my friends, and several of us all kind of had the same thought, and we agreed that we would keep flying until the first one of these things was fired in our neighborhood, or if someone got shot down, and then we would quit. Reports came that someone had seen one of those Strela missiles. And as per my agreement with myself, I said, that's it, I quit. And when the van came here for me the next day, I just refused to go to work. So we fast forward to 2003, I get an email that a fellow has died who was one of our associates. So I decided I wouldn't go to his funeral. So I called my friend Dennis, and I said, hey Dennis, let's go to Tony's funeral. And he said, okay, let's do that. So I went the next day, and I put on my Air America baseball cap, and I'm standing on the street corner waiting for Dennis to show up. And while I'm standing on the street corner, this other guy walks up to me, and he says, oh, you must have been with Air America. I said, yeah, I was. And he says, well, I was a Raven. And we got to talking, and we swapped a few stories, and who do you know, and all that kind of stuff you do when you meet somebody. And finally it occurred to me, I said, Gene, do you know who got rescued near Long Prabang on January 31st, 1972? He says, no, but I can find out.
Gene thought about it, and he said, well, the only guy that he remembered during his tenure there in the 71-72 time frame getting picked up by Air America was me. So when I saw Gene at the reunion last year, he said, hey, there's this guy you need to talk to.
And he sent me Mike Kelly's address. So just for fun, I had written up my story about how I'd rescued Mike years ago. So I made a copy of it, and I said, dear Mike, here's my side of the story about your rescue. I'd really like to know your side of the story. By the way, you owe me a bottle of booze.
And I wrote back and told him, I wrote back what I remembered, and sure enough, by meshing the two stories together, the information together, we were convinced that he's the one that picked me up. I immediately bought that bottle that he had never gotten and shipped it off to him.
About 3 weeks later, I got a letter from Mike saying, yes, thank you very much. You saved my ass. By the way, the check's in the mail, he says. And about 2 weeks after that, I got a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue by UPS. Special, special bottle of booze. So now I'm emailing with Mike, and I emailed him back and said, you know, Mike, I don't drink very much anymore. You're gonna have to come help me drink this bottle of booze.
Well, I mean, it's been a long time. And anyway, Bill Collier, this is Mike Kelly, this is your guy.
Good to meet you, that's right. Good to meet you last.
Oh, what a treat.
Having missed the opportunity to formally present you with a good cheap bottle of black Audible
$3.60.
33 years ago.
This is
I get to
delicious.
present you with a 10 times better Blue Label, never tasted by anybody in the world that I know,
That I know either.
to commemorate my pickup by you.
What the
So
heck?
I present you with this
thank you very
fine
much.
bottle of Scotch whiskey.
I appreciate that, and I think it's time to crack this baby.
I do too.
All right, here goes. Whoop. Someone should make a toast.
Well, I'm going to toast to all of the people. First of all, we got to toast to the people who didn't come back.
Oh,
Yes, we do.
I have a
We
toast.
have to do that.
Yes,
And then
we
we'll
do.
have to toast to the people who picked up so many of those guys and brought people back. I was never one to be picked up, other than off a bar stool or off the floor right in front of a bar stool. But to you people who did,
Cheers.
hang it out so many times.
The past,
Yes, we'll always do the past.
the present,
Well, here, and the president.
I would say presents.
Don't say president.
and who knows what.
The future. Hey, here's to the guy from Afghanistan that one day he's gonna be sitting at this table, trying to tell us a story.
I like their cheese.
Here's
I like
to
The
a
people you love to
frog.
hate, the people that you love to
That's
hate.
right.
By the way, I do have a toast, a very serious one. My co-pilot, when I picked you up, his name was Richard Copey. And in 3 or 4 years ago, I don't know the exact date, he, quote, lost the battle with PTSD and blew his own brains out. So, to Richard Copey,
To Richard.
he's a hell of a nice guy.
None of us were sent to Vietnam against our wishes, and not only that, but once we got there, then we went the extra step and volunteered to go over to this program that was obviously more hostile. We were the kind of guys that and it was pretty typical of the personality that a commander, instead of having to prod us on, he really had to hold a lot of guys back. It made us close. It made us drink way too much. I mean, when you lost a guy, it wasn't like he was just some guy down the street or something. He was the guy that you had been working with. He was the guy that you knew really closely. You can talk to a guy that you fought a war with like that, and you can communicate with him in a way that you can't communicate with anybody else, and nobody else can communicate with you that way. There's not only a common knowledge and a bond, but they're just feelings that you have. They're ways that you understand each other. You can cry with each other and not feel bad about it at all because of the things that you went through. I think that anything like that we do helps to just finally work some of it off.